Listen, okay? You're only cool if you have a Ninja Turtles hat. Or maybe not cool, because I am definitely not cool. What is going on, guys? My name is Sarah, and I hope each and every one of you is having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me for yet another video. If you're new here, thanks for coming on board. And if you have been here before, well, thanks for returning for my absurdity and my antics, because I know I'm a little sometimes, but hopefully you get some value out of these videos, including this one. And if you do by the end, please consider hitting that thumbs up button and that subscribe button if you haven't already. But let me earn it first by talking about the point of this video, and that is this product right here. This is Lactigo, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a first impressions and review of this product. Just as a disclaimer, this is not something that anybody asked me to review. I've not been sent this product. This is not sponsored. I purchased this with my own money, came in this week, and it's just been something I've been personally interested in and thought it would be a great opportunity to share with some like-minded folks on the channel to see what I think about it. So this is in the family of this here. This is the Amp Human PR Lotion, which if you've been in the endurance world or the sports world for any period of time, you may have heard of this. This is starting to become more and more mainstream, and both of these products are meant to help give us some performance gains in whatever our sport of choice may be. Now, what do these products do? If you're not familiar with these products, these are both intended to basically mitigate the negative effects of glycolysis. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the science so that I can kind of describe how these two products actually work differently and why this isn't simply a ripoff of the PR lotion, but a completely different product in a completely different process. And just as another disclaimer, I'm not beholden to either one of these products. I've used Amp PR Lotion for a while. I think it works great. I like it. I appreciate the product. I've definitely used it for hard workouts and seen some benefits from it. And this product, if it's snake oil, I'm going to tell you it's snake oil. If it works really well, I'm going to tell you it works really well. I have no opinions so far. You can see probably if the plastic is still on this thing. I haven't tried it before. I don't hope it's better. You know, this is a $35 bottle. It's not like I've spent hundreds of dollars on this thing, but that's the point of this video, just so you have kind of a lens through which you can kind of view my thoughts and impressions. But again, going back to why these work to attack this process of glycolysis, basically when we exercise, we produce what's called pyruvate. And when we are able to deliver oxygen to the working cells in the blood and the muscles, we are able to break down that pyruvate. But when we can no longer deliver that oxygen for whatever reason, it might be because we are doing anaerobic level work, VO2 max levels, sprints, or because we've just exceeded our aerobic capacity and we're no longer able to effectively deliver oxygen to the working muscles and cells, then that pyruvate starts to produce lactate. Now, lactate starts to get a little bit scary, right? But wait, the lactate can then be kind of absorbed into the tissue, into the muscle, into the blood cells, and that can be turned into either ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, basically being recycled for immediate energy use, or it's stored into the muscle as glycogen. We like glycogen. Glycogen is nice. Glycogen is fun. Glycogen is extremely important, especially when we start to run out of immediately usable fuel, whether it's glucose from sugars and we're outside of our fat burning zone. That glycogen becomes really important to pull on those stores so that we can just keep working as we start to kind of go into panic mode, right? But as we start to work and break down glucose or glycogen, that's where we break things back down into lactate, and that lactate is going to carry with it a hydrogen ion. Now that hydrogen ion, that's actually the enemy. Usually the lactate is just the poor bystander that picked up the knife at the crime scene and everybody's looking at him, but the hydrogen ion is actually what creates all the problems. The hydrogen ion is what creates the acidity in all of the cells, whether it's in the muscle and the working tissues or in the bloodstream. So creating this acidity is a real problem. The acidity is what causes the muscles to fatigue. It's what causes that burning sensation. It causes you to break down and eventually stop. We don't like acidity. Acidity is bad. It's kind of part of the nomenclature, lactic acid burn. Bad stuff. We don't want that type of stuff. So that's where these two topicals come into effect. These two are intended to kind of reduce or eliminate some of that lactic acid burn or that acidity in the system through a process known as buffering. But they do them in two completely different ways. So we'll talk about this product first. This is the tried and tested. This has been around a little bit longer. This is the Amp PR Lotion, and it creates a buffering action by using sodium bicarbonate. This is basically baking soda. It is alkalizing, much like baking soda does. You are delivering this into the bloodstream, and it's looking for the acid that's produced to pull it out of the bloodstream to alkalize it, and hopefully in turn, that lack of acidity in the blood will continue to pull from the working muscles so that we can reduce the acidity in the working muscles as well. So you can delay the onset of fatigue, you can delay some of that burn, you can reduce some of the acidity. It's a very effective, important process. It's not a very stable process, sometimes works better than others. If you've used this product for any appreciable amount of time, you'll probably notice that sometimes it works really well, sometimes not so much, and sometimes it feels like it's not working at all. That is because it's an extracellular process. You are introducing the sodium bicarbonate from outside of the cell, and it is looking to kind of grab that acidity, in crude terms, and alkalize it. That is where the contrast of this product comes into play. This is where Lactigo is different. It doesn't use sodium bicarb. It's not a ripoff or a copycat. It is a completely different product. This uses L-carnosine or carnosine, and this is working intracellularly. This performs that buffering activity or that alkalizing activity from inside the cell. So you can kind of analogize it to, if there's a kitchen fire, this guy's the one holding the fire extinguisher and running in to kind of put it out. This guy was kind of trying to take all of the flammable items out of the kitchen before the fire started. Eventually, there's going to be a threshold at which the acidity supersedes this ability, the Lactigo's ability to buffer out or continue to maintain an alkaline state, but it does kind of mitigate it in an earlier stage from inside the cell, which is why it is allegedly going to be more effective. And the science behind it sort of makes sense. Now, this is not a process that should be new to many people who have been in the exercise world for a while. If you've ever taken a pre-workout or a beta-alanine supplement, or some kind of drink mix, very often you'll have beta-alanine inside of it. This is probably not a strange concept to anybody. What does beta-alanine do? Well, beta-alanine is ingested and metabolized by the system. It binds with L-histamine and creates carnosine, right? So this is important. It goes into the cells and it helps to alkalize and helps to mitigate that process to delay the onset of fatigue. But you're asking, okay, well, why don't I just take carnosine? Doesn't that make a lot of sense? Well, the body does not really think like an athlete. So when you take carnosine orally, it just breaks it back down into L-histamine. So it still needs that beta-alanine to bind to, and we can only metabolize things orally so quickly. So that's where we end up with a topical. We've used topical applications for things all the time to absorb the originally intended key ingredients right directly into the bloodstream and into the cells. So you're going to apply this directly to the areas in question. You can apply it to your own whole body if you want, but you can apply it to your legs, your arms, wherever, and is going to penetrate the bloodstream, penetrate the muscle cells, and try to produce this alkalizing effect inside the cell itself. This is supposedly going to create a more predictable and stable effect. So instead of kind of having that, sometimes it works really well, sometimes not so much, this allegedly is supposed to work all the time. The science says that it should work all the time, but it depends on the efficacy of the product itself. So I'm going to try this today and see what I think about it to see if it even works. Now, I'm not going to try these two side by side because I don't think that that's a reasonable comparison and there's no real control there. So I just talked about this to kind of compare how this topical application is completely different from that and whether or not this is in fact a better product than that remains to be seen. Instead, I'm going to create a control from one leg to the other. Kind of silly, not super scientific, but it's about as controlled as I think I can get. I'm basically going to apply this to one leg and not apply it to the other leg, do a hard workout, and see if one leg feels different than the other leg. In fact, this is an experiment that they suggest right in the packaging that you try to do to prove that this stuff works. And I believe that they give you a 100% money back guarantee that if you don't think this stuff works, they'll give you a full refund, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to test that out. Just as a disclaimer for that piece, neither one of my legs have any real disparity. So my power, I have dual-sided power pedals. Basically, I run 50-50 almost every ride. Occasionally it'll be 51-49 depending if I'm doing maybe some intervals and I'm always leading off with one leg or sitting a little bit wonky on the saddle, whatever it may be, but it might be 49-51, 51-49. It flip-flops, but usually I am right down the middle. I don't have any injuries, current or past, in either leg that would produce a different effect from side to side. I don't generally notice there's a differential in that lactic acid burn that I feel on one side or the other. I'm not currently dealing with any kind of niggles. My position is set up for me what I believe to be properly, so I think I can make a fair appraisal from one side to the other, whether or not this actually works. I could probably give you a subjective opinion as to whether or not I think this is working better than the PR Lotion, but I'm not really comparing them side by side at the moment. And in terms of the stability and efficacy, that might be a video for down the road to see if it works today. Maybe I'll continue to use this for a month and to see if it's worked every time, or if it's very much like the PR Lotion where sometimes it works great and sometimes it's just meh, it's there. Now, as an aside, these both have an active ingredient of menthol in them. When I apply this, I don't really feel the menthol. Like if you've ever applied menthol to your skin or something with like kind of a mint in it, you'll feel it feels like your pores open up, it feels cold, kind of feels soothing. I don't feel that with this, even though there's menthol in here. Allegedly, we'll find out, you really feel kind of some of the tingly with this Lactigo here. So it's obviously a different type of lotion. It looks like it's going to be less thick from what I've read in the reviews that I've seen of it. So I'll kind of give you that feedback as to how it applies and how it feels as well. But without any further procrastination, I'm going to get on the bike. I'm going to do this workout. I'm going to apply this to, let's do my right leg just because it's my right leg. And I'll tell you what I think when this is all done. Listen, okay? You're only cool if you have a Ninja Turtles hat. Or maybe not cool, because I am definitely not cool. But winner chicken dinner on this stuff so far. Holy shit, I am impressed. This is my first application. Obviously, more testing is required. I can't make a comprehensive evaluation of what this is, having only used it once. But just on the application alone is, oh my God, it's such a better experience than the PR Lotion. If you've never used the PR Lotion, you won't know what I'm talking about. But if you have, you know that stuff goes on like cement. It's just gummy and yucky and it's sticky, and you put it on your legs and it attracts all the road grime, and we deal with it because it works and it does good things, but you come home and it's gross. I mean, you take a spin around the block and you need a shower. But this stuff, it goes on, hopefully the camera will kind of show you. It's real thin and runny, and then if I apply it to my arm here, I'm just going to try to focus on my face, it just rubs right into the skin and it's pretty much dry. And it smells like icy hot, which is a lot better than the PR Lotion. The PR Lotion just has a weird, not overly unpleasant, but it's definitely not a nice smell. This smells kind of nice. I mean, it doesn't smell great. It's not like wearing cologne, but it just has that kind of minty menthol smell. Now, as for the menthol, it's more prevalent in the smell, and you feel a little bit of a cooling sensation when you put it on, but it's not intense. It's not like putting on the icy hot. It's not that really cold, chilled feeling. So it's not something you should feel uncomfortable putting on, especially if you're gonna go out for a cold ride, like it's just gonna let all the cold air into your pores. It just feels a little bit cool, and then that dissipates with time. So it doesn't keep everything kind of open and feeling super chilled. In terms of its efficacy, it worked. Like I could feel an appreciable difference between my two legs. So for reference, I put this on about 10 minutes before I got on the bike, and I did about a 10 to 15 minutes of warm up. And then I went into some high intensity sets, and my first set or two, I didn't feel much of a difference. And I said, well, you know, $30, what's the big deal? At least I know it doesn't work. But after I got past the first third of the workout, I started to really feel a difference. I was doing these repeatable high intensity sets, and I could feel a huge difference between my two legs. My left leg was starting to really start to feel that burn, and I wasn't feeling it in my right leg. And as I progressed through the sets, I was looking at my power meter readouts, and I was starting to shift my power to my right leg, not even intentionally, but because that leg was feeling more comfortable, I was offloading the power from my left leg. And at one point, I was like 65% on the right and 35% on the left, which is not ideal. This is not a real world scenario, so I would typically put this on both legs. But there was definitely a substantial difference that I can't explain for any other reason. I really do not think this was the placebo effect. I really didn't care one way or another if this thing worked. In fact, I had resigned myself to thinking that it wasn't going to work and just kind of gave up on it early in the workout. And then suddenly I was feeling that difference. So, you know, more testing required. I'm going to keep going and see if I can use this over the course of a month and give you maybe like a 30-day review of using this more frequently for my high intensity interval sets. But I think that this is going to be, might even be a PR lotion killer. I don't know. This is still kind of a little known topical here. It's starting to make its way into the mainstream, but that remains to be seen to see how well this thing plays out in terms of the market. $30 for, it's not a whole ton, it's 3.4 fluid ounces, but you can see that a little bit goes a long way. I think it's rated for like 15 total body applications. Don't put it in your eyes or on your face, by the way. But you know, this is something that you can use if you want to go to the gym too. So you can apply it to your arms, you can apply it to your abdominal muscles if you want, your glutes. I applied, I think 2 or 3 pumps, and it covered from the top of basically my leg under my glute all the way down to under my calves, and I had a little bit too much, so I could probably use a little bit less. I think 1 to 2 pumps would be good for a leg. So this could definitely go a lot farther than the quantity that you would put in your hand to apply for the PR lotion. So it seems like a small bottle, but it actually seems like it would go a long way. Like I just did not use a ton for the one leg, and I could probably use less going forward. But more comprehensive review to come, but it sold me enough to keep using it. And just on the application alone, it smells nicer, it's a lot cleaner. Actually, it says recovery gel on there as well. So this is something that I would not mind if after a hard workout, even after I shower, to apply this to my legs or, you know, working muscles, and I could just put my clothes on and go to work or go to the store and not feel uncomfortable like I'm sticking to everything or like I stink. This is definitely not bad. So I'm gonna leave a link down below if you're interested in checking it out. It's not an affiliate link or anything. I don't get anything if you guys go buy the stuff. I think there's a bunch of promo codes floating around from a bunch of different people. So I'm gonna see if I can hunt down a couple. I'll paste them below, see if they work. Most of the promo codes I think are for like 10 or 15%. And it's really just gonna save you the shipping and tax on it. I think you can get this for like $30 flat shipped. So definitely worth a try for 30 bucks. And with the money back guarantee, you really can't go wrong in getting a try. And if you already use the PR lotion and you're tired of smelling like shit and having that grimy stuff on you, this might be a good alternative. Sound science behind it, decent price, and more pleasant smell. But at any rate, that's my preliminary thoughts on the Lactigo. Hopefully you guys will check it out. If you like it, let me know in the comments down below. Any questions, comments, concerns, again, in the comments below. Hopefully I'll get you a comprehensive review on this thing soon. If you really got some value out of this video, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button, it really does help the channel out quite a bit. Subscribe if you haven't already. All of the things, the notifications, buttons, blah, blah, blah. And as always, thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.